Hello and welcome, my friends. Winter has truly taken over the Azerbaijani mountains, draping every tree and blade of grass in a thick blanket of snow. Today, we're whipping up something that's not just comforting, but packed with energy to keep us going through these chilly days. Take a look at this big, beautiful piece of lamb. It's the star of today's episode. Hey there, doggy. Don't worry, I've got something for you too. Everyone gets a share today. For this episode, I've got something truly special lined up. Something that will have you itching to get into the kitchen yourself. So, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell icon to stay tuned for more mouth-watering content. And yes, don't forget to like it. Now, I'm making my incisions between the bones, carefully preparing the lamb for what's next. Hey guys, here's a bone for you. Everyone gets to enjoy this feast. Let's split this meal in two, making sure each piece is perfectly prepped. I'm trimming the meat off the bones, getting every bit ready for our dish. The goal here is to work along the natural lines of the meat, carefully following the contours of the bone. This way you preserve as much of the meat as possible while removing those tough, unwanted parts. As you can see, when cutting and trimming lamb, a good sharp knife is your best friend. It makes all the difference. A good boning knife with a flexible blade will let you navigate around the bone smoothly, making it easier to extract every bit of that tender meat. This step is crucial, not only for presentation, but also for ensuring that the meat cooks evenly. We're almost there, just making sure every last bit is properly trimmed. You want to remove any excess fat, but leave just enough to keep the meat moist and flavorful. The connective tissues, especially the silver skin, should be trimmed away too. It's tough and won't break down during cooking, so it's best to get rid of it now. Be sure to follow us on social media for more tips, tricks and tasty updates. There's always a new culinary adventure just around the corner. When it comes to cutting lamb, precision is key. If you cut along the grain, the meat can be chewy, but cutting against the grain will give you that tender, melt-in-your-mouth texture. Remember, lamb has a unique flavor that's both delicate and robust, so treating it with care at this stage will pay off when you sit down to eat. Let's double check that we haven't left any meat on the bones. These bones can still be used to make a rich stock, so nothing goes to waste. We're making sure to get every last bit of that delicious lamb. Just take a look at this beautiful, rich red lamb flesh. This color indicates freshness and quality. And here's my top tip. always invest in a good quality knife. It doesn't just make the process easier, it also ensures that your cuts are clean and precise, which is especially important with delicate meats like lamb. Let's get some fresh peppercorns going. There's nothing like the kick of freshly ground pepper to elevate the flavour of our dish. It reminds me of those early days in the kitchen, watching my grandmother grind spices by hand, filling the air with that aroma. I've got a mix of red and white peppercorns here, adding a nice variety of flavours. Each one brings its own heat and aroma to the table. Alright, now that our pepper is finely ground, let's toss in the rest of our seasonings. Paprika for a smoky depth, a good pinch of salt to bring out all the flavours, and maybe even a hint of turmeric for that golden touch. Now it's time to get our hands dirty. We're going to season this meat generously and then mix it thoroughly, making sure every piece is packed with flavour. You know, for any farmer, the livestock eventually becomes more than just animals. They're like pets. You spend so much time with them. You can't help but get attached. It's a bond that only deepens over time. Let's dive into making some dough. Today, we're whipping up a traditional Azerbaijani dish called sirhulu. It's a hearty pasta dish that's as comforting as it gets. We'll start with about 1.5 kilos of flour, a pinch of salt, around 500 millilitres of water, and 4 fresh eggs. The technique for making sarhulu involves pressing each piece with your fingers to flatten it slightly. It's a simple move, but it makes all the difference in how the pasta cooks. Now, take a look at this tool I'm holding. It's going to help us make homemade sausages with the lamb meat I've already prepared. That's why I sliced the meat so thin earlier. We'll use this tool to stuff the meat into special sausage casings. I'll make some tiny holes in the sausages to ensure they don't burst while cooking. Look at this stack of wholesome, homemade sausages. Real meaty goodness right there. Now, it's time to drop these sausages into the boiling water. This is where they'll absorb all those rich flavors we've packed into them. Let's pull the sausages out now. We'll use that same broth to cook our sarhulu pasta. This is going to be one hearty, nourishing meal. We don't want to cook the pasta too long, just enough so that it stays soft and tender. Now that the sarhulu is ready, it's time to serve. We'll lay those savory sausages right on top, letting the juices soak into the pasta. Here's how you should enjoy sarhulu. Get a generous helping on your plate, top it with a sausage, and pour some of that rich broth over it. Now, let's see how this tastes. The sausages are bursting with flavor, just like the ones my grandfather used to make on special occasions. The dough is soft, almost velvety, soaking up that rich broth.
Super.
If you're enjoying this as much as I am, don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell icon, and give the video a thumbs up. Every bit of support helps me keep these traditions alive and share them with you. Now, it's time to share this delicious dish with my guests. There's something special about eating together. So, go ahead, dig in, and let's create some new memories. There's more than enough to go around. See you next time, my dear friends. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video.
Kanalımıza destek olmak istəyirsinizsə, onlayn mağazamızdan xüsusi bıçaq və ya taxta qablarımızı əldə edə bilərsiniz. Mağazanın linki videonun altındakı təsvirdə var. Super.
Winter landscapes, culinary adventures, and animals as part of village life. A dog is not only a loyal friend, but also an excellent helper, always ready to protect and guide livestock. So, what do you prefer, dogs or cats? Greetings from the snowy, captivating realms of Azerbaijan, where vibrant, clear streams dance gracefully amidst awe-inspiring vistas and the freshest air. Today, the cold air wakes you up better than any alarm clock. And hey, while you're here enjoying the video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a fantastic comment. I read every one of them. Get ready for village chaos, meaty and veggie delicacies, and new recipes. Today, we're not only indulging in the sweetness of cooking, but also showcasing the skill of our hands with playful animals around as part of the village routine. Are you ready to dive headfirst into a whimsical culinary escapade with yours truly? Stay tuned, dear adventurers, for a feast of laughter and flavor awaits. I always have some treats for the dogs, but today, someone special is in for a treat. If you're looking to upgrade your kitchen equipment, you can check out our assortment in the store. Who knows, you might find something that impresses your friends and makes your neighbors beg for your cooking secrets. I'll get this magnificent piece of meat cooking. Since it's too big for my skillet, I need to keep a close eye on it to ensure it cooks perfectly. The second stage of frying the meat has begun. Let me show you how a real steak sizzles. Here it is in all its glory. Juicy, crispy, and unforgettable. It's definitely worth cooking more of this. But let's not rush, there's plenty more interesting content coming up. Now, on to the equally important ingredients, vegetables. Despite the cold weather, they must be washed thoroughly. Garlic is a frequent guest in my kitchen, as you know, and for a good reason. It's packed with vitamins and has a killer antiviral effect. But be warned, don't eat it before an important meeting, unless you want to knock out your conversation partner. I also love using my favorite village butter. Let's start frying. All the chopped ingredients need to be fried. Feel free to add whatever you like best. Don't forget to subscribe to our social media channels to catch all the new and interesting content. And of course, we can't forget the spices. Don't overdo it, but as my grandmother always said, add to taste. You can never have too many vegetables, especially in winter, when every vitamin is like gold and very important for our bodies. Don't get distracted by the amazing aroma. Let's move on to the citrus fruits. Mixing ingredients in stages helps both the meat and vegetables release their juices and absorb all the necessary flavors, creating a symphony of aromas that make my taste buds dance. Tea and tea ceremonies are up next. I'll gather some coals to keep the tea warm for a while, and then we can get started. I've got everything I need to enjoy a tea break in good company with a beautiful view. I'm especially happy to have lemon and sweets on hand. I always try to prepare desserts in season to enjoy the taste of summer in winter. And, of course, what could be better than tea on a cold winter day in the great outdoors? Let's enjoy it together. The food is simmering and cooking, while the kids are having their own fun. Winter for them means lots of games and, on snowy days like this, a break from school. I remember how much I loved those days, even though I enjoyed learning. Now it's time for the grand finale and the moment of truth. Wooden dishes are my go-to for these occasions. Here we go, it's tasting time.
Super.
Nasılsınız? Vay, bir etem harcı gitleri eşk olsun. Ha, tadınız kiliyor kakada ya. Tadınız kiliyor kakada. Şidiler kişi. Evet, atışıdı kaynamaya. Ha. Yine, muslu. Akbaydan her gün ıskana kalktı. Şidiler.
Oj, så kul.
Ben küçük kıyına koyayım.
Thank you for joining me on this flavorful journey, dear foodie friends. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to receive our videos more quickly. Until we meet again, happy cooking, and may your culinary adventures be brimming with laughter, creativity, and delightful surprises.
Kanalımıza dəstək olmaq istəyirsinizsə, onlayn mağazamızdan xüsusi bıçaq və ya taxta qablarımızı əldə edə bilərsiniz. Mağazanın linki videonun altındakı təsvirdə var. Super.
Greetings, my dear friends. Hope you're all doing great. Welcome once again to the beautiful Azerbaijani mountains. Today, we're taking on a challenge together to create something unforgettable. I'm talking about something I've never even tried before. Before we dive into it, make sure you're subscribed. Hit that bell icon and give us a big thumbs up. But today, we're cooking a whole lamb in the oven out here in this breathtaking natural setting. Even nature's joining the party as we get ready for the feast. There's just something about being here. The fresh air, the calm, the sound of the wind. It really clears the mind, makes you realize how small we are compared to these mountains. It's peaceful, but it's also wild, and it gets me thinking, what else can we create out here? As you can see, while I'm cooking, I'm not just using knives to cut the meat. I'm also using them to make a few tools that will help in the process. When you're cooking out in nature, you need to get creative. Things don't always go as planned, and that's where a good knife becomes your best friend. If you're all about quality, like me, check out my shop for some top-tier knives. You know, they can handle anything. Now, see these wooden tubes I carved earlier? You're probably wondering what I'm going to do with them. Well, I've hollowed them out for a reason. You'll find out soon enough why we need them. Trust me, it's going to be good. Here's our lamb. Just look at that thick skin. To season this beauty, I'll be using those hollowed tubes to get the seasoning deep inside the meat. We're talking lemon juice, orange juice, and apple vinegar mixed with paprika. The flavors are going to soak right into the meat from the inside out. Now it's time to get these tubes into the meat. They're pointed for a reason. It helps me push them right into the thick flesh of the lamb. This is how we make sure the flavor goes all the way through. Let's pour the seasoned liquid into the tubes so it can work its magic inside the lamb. Time to get the oven ready. We'll fuel it up nice and hot. This lamb is going to need some serious heat. I'll be cutting off the tail and I'll prepare that separately. The fat tail is a real treasure. It's packed with flavour, and when prepared right, it'll add an amazing richness to the meal. And while we're at it, we'll fasten the lamb's legs to the body. This step is crucial because tying it up not only ensures the lamb cooks evenly, but it also helps keep all those delicious juices locked inside while it roasts. The result? A tender, flavorful lamb that practically melts in your mouth. And hey, while we're waiting, don't forget to follow us on social media. You'll get all the behind-the-scenes action and fill your Instagram feed with some really interesting content. From cooking tips to beautiful mountain views. You won't want to miss it. Now the lamb is fully prepped, we're going to wrap it in baking paper, and then we'll cover it with aluminium foil. This step is all about trapping the heat and moisture inside, ensuring the meat stays juicy and tender as it slowly cooks. It's a simple but effective way to make sure every bite is as succulent as possible. We're placing the lamb on these wheels I made a while back for another dish. It's a fun little gadget that helps with cooking large cuts like this. Let's roll it into the oven, where it'll start roasting to perfection. Now, let's get our lamb in the oven. This is where the magic really begins. The heat, the flavors, it all comes together at this moment. Once it's in there, we'll let the oven do its work, slowly transforming this lamb into a feast. While the lamb is cooking, we'll turn our attention to the lamb tail. It's a special part of the dish, and when prepared properly, it adds a whole new level of texture and taste. First things first, I'm going to boil my knives to get rid of any grease. This step also makes cutting through the tail much smoother. It's a little trick I've learned over the years. Boiling the knives not only cleans them, but also keeps them sharp for precision cutting. Now that I've minced the lamb tail, we're going to roast it until it's perfectly crispy. You'll know it's ready when it's golden brown and smells irresistible. Look at that crispiness. The lamb tail is golden brown and ready to go. It's crunchy on the outside, tender on the inside, and packed with flavor. Perfect for adding that extra bit of richness to our meat. But our lamb in the oven isn't the only star of the show. I'm going to whip up a mix of eggs, greens and tomatoes to make a topping for the meat. We'll roast this in the leftover oil from the lamb tail. It's going to be packed with flavour. The mixture is ready to go. As for the tomatoes, I'll use them to cover the lamb, adding another layer of flavour while it roasts. The lamb is finally ready. Just look at this beauty, perfectly baked in the oven. The meat is tender, the skin crispy, and the aroma absolutely mouthwatering. It smells like a mix of smoky, tangy, and savoury all at once, just the way it should be.
Max,
Time to get some treats for our little friends. Our favourite food lovers are already heading this way. Looks like they can smell what we've been cooking. I couldn't have done all this without my trusty knives. They've made everything so much easier. From prepping the meat to carving it up, these are top quality blades. And if you want to treat yourself, check them out in my shop. Turn your kitchen into a pro-level space. Now we're going to place the meat into these clay jugs and pour boiling oil over it. it's time to use the mixture we prepped earlier. We'll cover the lamb with this egg, greens and tomato topping. Then pop it back in the oven for that final roast.
Yaxşı.
And there it is. Look only at this. The eggs have firmed up just right. The greens are crispy and the tomatoes are caramelized. The topping is like a savory blanket for the lamb, sealing in all those flavors. It smells unreal. You're going to want to dive right in. Time to serve. Our guests are already hungry, and I don't blame them.
Lezzetlidir.
If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more updates.
Kanalımıza dəstək olmaq istəyirsinizsə, onlayn mağazamızdan xüsusi bıçaq və ya taxta qablarımızı əldə edə bilərsiniz. Mağazanın linki videonun altındakı təsvirdə var. Super.
Thanks for hanging out with me today, and catch you in the next one. Hello and welcome, dear friends. If you're craving something wholesome and comforting, like the warmth of a mother's hug, then you're in the right place. Today, I've decided to prepare something simple, yet absolutely delicious. Duck served with the most tender rice you can imagine. So, make yourself comfortable, pour a hot cup of tea, and enjoy this wild cooking adventure. Trust me, after watching this episode, you'll want to try this at home. So pay close attention to each step. And while you're here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can catch every new culinary discovery. If you're enjoying the episode, give it a thumbs up. And for those who want to make sure they never miss an episode, hit the bell icon for notifications. Now, let's talk about duck. Ducks have much thicker and fattier skin compared to other poultry like chicken. That's why I'm going to boil it briefly first. This ensures that after baking, the meat will be tender and juicy, not tough or chewy. Alright, it's time to prepare the marinade for our ducks. I'm using a blend of freshly grated garlic, orange juice and zest, soy sauce, turmeric, black pepper, paprika, olive oil, and a touch of honey for sweetness. With the duck prepped and ready, let's move on to the rice. First, we'll need to wash it thoroughly to remove excess starch. To give the rice a nutty flavour and a bit of freshness, I'll be adding some dill to the mix. It'll pair beautifully with the richness of the duck. As I'm cutting, you might notice these knives I'm using. They're my own design. Honestly, they've been a game changer for me in the kitchen. Super sharp, perfectly balanced. Every slice feels effortless, and they stay sharp for ages. You can grab these from my online store. Just scan the QR code and check out the collection. Trust me, you'll love them. I'm peeling these shallots to add them to the broth with the duck. They're going to bring a nice, subtle sweetness. As they boil, the flavours will start blending, and these shallots are going to melt right into the broth, making it so much richer. I've already boiled these carrots, just enough so they're tender but still firm. They're going to add a touch of sweetness and some vibrant colour, balancing out all those savoury flavours we've got going on. I love how they brighten up the dish. A few whole garlic cloves, more of these soft carrots, and some fresh orange zest. The garlic will give that earthy depth, and the orange zest is going to add this unexpected brightness, making everything taste so fresh and balanced. You can already smell how good it's going to be. The ducks are finally ready, and wow, just look at them. They've soaked up all those flavours, the garlic, the orange, the herbs, and they're so tender now. And the smell, oh man, it's incredible. Every bite is going to be rich and juicy, with just that perfect hint of citrus. If you could only taste this through the screen. This broth, it's the secret weapon. It's packed with so much flavour from the duck, garlic and orange zest, and when I cook the rice in this, it's going to absorb all that goodness. This is what's going to take the whole dish to another level. And hey, if you're not already following me on Instagram, you're missing out. I'm sharing more recipes like this one. Hit follow to stay updated. Now, I need to lay these ducks on this tray and brush them with the marinade to make sure they stay juicy. I'm adding a bit of broth too for that extra moisture. Some potatoes, carrots and shallots all will get caramelized and crispy at the edges. A few bright red peppers to top it off. It looks like a proper feast. Let's take a look at the rice. Not quite there yet. It needs a little more time to soak up all that flavorful broth. Patience, though, it's going to be worth it. Alright, time for the duck to head into the oven. It's going to roast up beautifully, soaking in all those herbs, spices and citrus. These fellas always sniffing around for food. You can never turn your back on them when there's something this good in the air. let's brew some tea while we wait. I've got this amazing gift jam I've been saving for a special moment. Perfect timing for a little break before we finish everything up. Sipping my tea, I take a moment to just breathe. It's a simple ritual, but there's something calming about sitting back and letting your mind clear while the food finishes cooking. Just me, the tea, and the gentle warmth of the kitchen. And there we go, the rice is done. Look at that. Each grain is perfectly fluffy, and the aroma, it's just unreal. Now, let's check on the duck. The potatoes and carrots are cooked through, so it's time to take away the wrapping paper. I want to let the skin roast just a bit more so it crisps up nicely. Ah, yes. That's exactly what I needed. The golden, crispy skin. Just look at how perfect it is. Alright, let's serve everything up. The rice is steaming, the ducks are glistening with that golden skin, and the roasted vegetables are tender and caramelized. Look at this feast. The colors, the smells, everything is perfect. Now, let's have a taste. Oh, wow. I'm speechless. The duck is so juicy, the skin perfectly crisp, and the rice soaked in that broth has this deep, rich flavor that just melts in your mouth. That's it for today, friends. I hope you enjoyed cooking along with me and that you'll give this recipe a try at home.
Super.
Don't forget to subscribe for more incredible dishes like this. I'll see you next time.
Kanalımıza destek olmak istəyirsinizsə, onlayn mağazamızdan xüsusi bıçaq və ya taxta qablarımızı əldə edə bilərsiniz. Mağazanın linki videonun altındakı təsvirdə var. Super.
Greetings, dear friends and food enthusiasts. Today, we're diving into a dish that might be unfamiliar to viewers from Europe, the USA, or other parts of the world. However, our friends from the Baltic countries and Ukraine may recognize these savory delicacies made from various types of fish. Stay tuned as we explore this hidden gem of cuisine. Here I've got 3 types of fish: sturgeon, salmon and tuna fillet. These beauties are about to come together in one dish, but not in the way you might expect. Step by step, you'll learn how to create a smoked fish roll. The first thing we're going to do is slice them into thick horizontal strips, creating rectangular pieces. And let me remind you, my friend, to get the same result, you'll need a proper knife. By that, I mean a sharp and sturdy knife that makes clean cuts. A good knife is especially essential when working with a fish like sturgeon, which has thick skin and bony scutes. If you don't have one yet, check out my shop. Just scan the QR code and it'll take you straight to it. See that white bone I'm pulling out? That's the sturgeon's backbone. Sturgeon is an ancient fish with a primitive backbone. Unlike modern fish, this flexible, rod-like bone is one of the reasons the fish stays so flexible in the water. The hardest part, removing the backbone, is done. Now let's move on to filleting it. In the meantime, take a moment to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. This is exactly how every fish should be cut, so that when we layer them later, they'll fit perfectly. When we slice the roll, you'll see a beautiful checkered pattern with the different colors of the fish. It'll not only taste amazing, but also look stunning on the plate. Salmon's pink, tuna's red, and sturgeon's white will create a mosaic of flavor and texture. What's equally important here is removing any small bones. We don't want anyone getting a surprise while enjoying the dish. These fish, sturgeon, salmon and tuna, each bring something unique to the table. Sturgeon's mild, slightly firm texture, salmon's rich and buttery flavor, and tuna's lean, meaty bite. When combined, it'll be an incredible harmony of flavors. Now that the fish is cut, we need to prepare it for the next step. I'm taking this metal container and adding a layer of salt to the bottom. This will help draw out moisture. Then I carefully layer each slice of fish, one by one, on top of the salt, making sure everything is evenly packed. Finally, I cover the top with more salt. This curing process will preserve the fish and give it that extra texture before we assemble the roll. Next, I'm heading outside to cover the container with snow. The cold helps the curing process, allowing the salt to work its magic without the fish getting too dry. Living in a place where snow is abundant definitely comes in handy for tasks like this. While the fish is curing, I'm going to build the rectangular wooden box that we'll use to shape the roll. These wooden boards will hold the fish slices together as they set. It's kind of like creating a frame for a piece of art. When we press the fish inside, it'll take on the perfect rectangular shape, and the starch-water mixture I'm going to use will glue the pieces together. I think the fish has spent enough time in the salt now, so I'm bringing the container back inside. After washing the salt off, we're left with perfectly cured fish, ready for the next step. As I continue working on this wooden box, I have to say there's something incredibly satisfying about doing things by hand. I enjoy the craftsmanship involved in making this, knowing that the final result will be all the more rewarding because of the time and care I've put into it. Now, I'm laying the fish out on paper to dry off any excess moisture. We want it nice and dry so it will stick together well when we assemble the roll. And hey, don't forget to follow us on Instagram for behind-the-scenes glimpses of what goes on in the kitchen. Alright, let's prepare the glue mixture. It's just starch and water, but it's what will hold the fish slices together. Once it's ready, I'll brush it on and start arranging the fish in layers, sticking them together to form the roll. It's a simple but effective way to create this masterpiece. I've made sure the lid fits perfectly on the box. It's essential for keeping everything tightly pressed as we move forward. Okay, let's get going. As I said previously, I'm going to layer the fish and glue it together with the starch. This method, by the way, has its roots in the traditional culinary practices of the Baltic region, where smoked fish dishes have been crafted and perfected over centuries. To make sure that the fish sticks tightly to each other, I'll place this lock to press them even more. Now, we're going to bake the fish first. Baking helps cook the fish thoroughly and ensures that the starch mixture binds the layers properly, creating that solid, beautiful roll. After baking, we'll smoke it to infuse that deep, earthy flavor, giving the fish a wonderfully rich taste. Now that the fish has perfectly formed into a roll, it's time to get it ready for the final steps. Let's place the fish in the oven to bake, making sure it gets that initial cook-through for tenderness and firmness. Now, while the fish is baking, I'm setting up a smoking construction. The fish will go inside the tandoor, and right next to it, I'll build a simple smoking system. I've connected a tube from the small smoker to the tandoor, sealed it to keep the smoke contained, and filled the smoker with hay. The fish is out of the oven and now placed inside the tandoor. The smoke will work its magic, giving the fish that golden, slightly charred finish, full of flavor. Now, while the fish smokes, it's time for a well-earned break with some tea. Nothing beats the smell of fresh hay smoke and a warm cup of tea while we wait. The fish is ready. Look at that beautiful, colourful pattern when sliced. Perfectly checked with a mix of deep hues. And the flavour, it's unbelievable. The smoky aroma hits first, followed by the tender, slightly sweet fish with a hint of saltiness. The texture is smooth yet firm, with each layer melting in your mouth, leaving that delicious lingering taste of wood-fired smoke and savoury fish oils. This is what makes smoked fish such a delicacy. If you've enjoyed this cooking journey, don't forget to follow, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more traditional culinary adventures. And look at this cat. Even the cat can't resist the smell of the smoked fish.
Kanalımıza dəstək olmaq istəyirsinizsə, onlayn mağazamızdan xüsusi bıçaq və ya taxta qablarımızı əldə edə bilərsiniz. Mağazanın linki videonun altındakı təsvirdə var. Super.
And with that, we're wrapping up. Thanks for watching, and see you next time for another unique dish.